Hey guys, I'm coming to you live from Sydney, and this time it's not in the airport like yesterday, and we're a little bit later in the afternoon. This time we're in Collaroy, which is a beautiful part of Sydney. Actually, let me show you the background view. You can see the ocean from where I'm staying at the conference. So I'm at a women's conference. Christian Women in Business hold a conference every year. So I'm with some awesome, amazing business women here in Sydney, learning lots of good stuff. And right now I'm catching up with a lovely lady, Prue Ram. Oh, actually, you can see her in the background. Hi, Prue, from My Decorator. So I was going to share this while I'm live, but I don't see a button where I can share it while I'm live. So if anyone, go ahead, share it, people. Share it to the world. But Prue is, obviously, as the name suggests, from My Decorator, and you are an interior decorator.
That's right.
Correct?
Yep.
I didn't wear my microphone, so I hope you can all hear me really well. We'll just yell.
Yeah.
So today, as I promised, we're going to come to you with some styling tips. So especially for those of you who, like me, love to paint up furniture, make old pieces new again, and then you like to sell your pieces. So what's going to make your piece of furniture stand out when people are scrolling through their feed and make it look beautiful? There's a few different ways. One of those is actually taking nice photographs of it. Well, we're not here to talk about photography today, but that's all important, having good lighting. Today, we're just going to focus on how do we style a piece? Do we just leave it by itself? Or do we put some things on it to make it kind of look pretty? And how much is too far? All those kind of things. All right.
Beautiful.
Aren't we?
That's
Hey, should we show them what we found to actually style?
Yes.
We are literally in the room, one of the conference rooms, my bedroom, actually. So we try not to get the background with all the messy beds in it. But they have a little hall table kind of thing. Let me just flip the camera around, and I'll actually probably be behind the camera, and I'll let Prue be in front, but I'll ask some questions and see how we go. So this is the piece we found. Look at this little hall table.
Yeah.
And so I asked Prue to bring a few little frou-frou bits that we could style it with. So let's talk us through.
Okay. So firstly, what I would recommend with something like this is always style it so it's asymmetrical. So having things off to the centre is always visually a bit more interesting.
Yep.
Because we're wanting to really capture people's attention, I always go by 3 steps when I'm styling. So having something that is vertically has some height, and then adding in, I'll just grab these pieces.
Write these down if you've got your notebook. Three tips.
Steps.
3 steps. The first one is, someone write that in the comments.
Vertical.
Something
that has some height. So it can be fairly plain. Here we've got some height with a fairly plain vase with some
greenery that we may or may not have found.
That's
somewhere
right.
on the garden. Yeah.
Yes. And then what we want to do is always add something that is horizontal.
Okay.
So here we're using some books.
Thanks for watching. So the first one was vertical. Next thing, something horizontal.
So see how these are running
books
horizontally across the plane of the piece of furniture.
Beautiful.
You could use a tray. You could use it like a beautiful tray. Something that's it could be a placemat. It could be, what else can we use that's horizontal? A nice plate that you could just lay down. So basically, we're filling kind of nearly like a triangle.
Yep.
And then what we do is we add in something that's sculptural, something that has some visual interest in there.
Okay. So that was the third thing, something sculptural.
Yeah.
So we've got something
so the
vertical,
arm of this
horizontal,
gives
sculptural.
it a little bit more visual interest.
Yep.
And usually I find the combination like this, it's very simple, but it catches the eye. You could even use, not with this piece of furniture, because you are wanting to catch the eye, but you could even use something fun like this.
Because
obviously,
what is that
if
made
it was
out of?
on a black piece
kind
of furniture,
metal.
I got this from the UK.
Yep. So for example, where would you want to use that one?
So say you had a stunning piece of black furniture that you painted up.
Yep.
It was maybe more of a contemporary piece or a quirky, not so much quirky because this already is quirky, so we're wanting to create a bit of tension.
Yeah.
So by putting this on a fairly plain piece that's black, when you're scrolling through the feed looking at some furniture that you want going to buy, something like this is going to catch your eye, firstly because the scale is really
brilliant
off, so it's kind of a contrast, which is always good to do.
Yeah.
And then secondly, because it's just a different piece.
Yeah.
So you're wanting to catch people's attention.
So I hope you caught that, people. That was excellent info. So something for
not
visual
for this
attention,
piece,
not for this piece,
Not-
but say
no.
a black piece, you have that pop of gold that's really sparking someone's, as they're scrolling through your feed, they're going to want to buy your piece because that just makes it stand out. I like
Yeah.
the vintage look you've got going
so
on
we're
here. So
telling a story.
yeah.
So sort of think through, okay, what is my piece? Can I tell a story with this? So this is, again, we've got a bit of contrast between, you know, modern
Yep.
and sort of more
Vintage.
old vintage pieces.
Mhm.
But you, like if you, for instance, if you had a side table and then a chair that you were featuring,
Yep.
you could pop like a cup of coffee on the, not a real
Yeah.
cup of coffee, but a beautiful cup
Yep.
on the little side table as you sell. You're basically selling the lifestyle of,
Right.
gosh, I could imagine myself sitting on that chair enjoying a
Perfect.
nice coffee and reading
Yeah.
a lovely book. So have a book sitting there, or here we've got the books. It's just, sort
Yeah.
of thinking through a little bit further than the piece
Mhm.
and how you can tell a story with it as well.
That's great.
And then tonally tying things in. So it's often the common colouring. So we've got the earthy tones to
Yep.
start with. We've got the brown tones of the books, the sculptural piece, and the vertical piece.
Perfect.
So that's a common thread that helps things to work. So sometimes if you're putting together a vignette, is
Yep.
what I would call this.
Right. That's a vignette, people. If you didn't
that's a
know that
vignette.
already, this is what it's like, a little story, really,
It's a
isn't
story,
it?
that's right. And you're sort of looking at it and it's not working. Have a look at the colours you're using and maybe tie more colour in,
Okay.
which was another reason why, for
Okay.
instance, these don't work with it, because it's just
Wrong colour.
the wrong colourways, and with the silver as well.
Annie says she always wings it when she's staging her pieces. So
Yeah.
Annie, now you know, so the three little steps, we've got something vertical, something horizontal, and something, what did you call it? Sculptural.
Something sculptural.
Yeah, so
And-
that's a great idea.
And the other thing I would do too is really pull it through with some artwork.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah.
when I say artwork, don't hang it up high, because
Okay.
you're styling it to sell. You could even lean it on
Yeah,
the bench. So you've got to sort of think, this is for an actual photo.
yeah,
So if I have it up here, it's going to, you know, I'm going to miss
yeah.
the opportunity.
I hope
But
you can
see
all
how-
hear Prue properly. Let me know if you can't. I'll try and repeat some of the things she's saying because
Yeah.
you know, the camera's over here. I've got it. So, can you tell me a little bit about Prue, why we are just concentrating on putting the pieces to this side of the table rather than just kind of putting them central or something like that? Can you speak
Yeah.
a little bit about that?
So it's basically to create a little bit more
Visual interest, or something?
basically, because it's so obviously you can go symmetrical,
Mm-hmm.
or you can, which would be by putting the vase in the middle. You can even see here that I've arranged the foliage.
Yeah, we've
so
got
that
3
it
branches
actually,
there.
Yeah, 3 branches.
So that's kind of a
odd
rule,
numbers.
isn't it? Odd numbers
Odd
is a bit of
numbers.
a
Yeah,
rule
that's
to
a rule.
remember. Mm-hmm.
Also, I've got 2 of the
3
larger
branches.
ones over to the left and just the little one kind of poking over to the right.
Right.
Again, we're creating more visual balance. So it's sort
Yeah.
of working with the balance of things and then bringing in this artwork.
Which happened to be in the room, and it kind of goes nicely with our little vignette
I had
here.
my eye on that earlier. And I thought, I wonder if I could just.
I know, we could just
Grab
pull
that
it
off
off
the
that
wall.
wall. We're
love
winging
us
it here
here.
too, people.
But yeah,
That's
so
great.
that's why it just creates visually a bit more, visual
And also,
interest.
I think too,
And
is
having
this a thing where you want the piece, because we're selling the piece, we want the piece to kind of stand out
Yeah.
as the star of the show.
Yeah, that's
And so
right.
these are just little things to add on top to give some interest
Yeah.
in your, you know, as people are scrolling through the feed, we want them to buy our table,
That's
you know,
right.
our painted piece. And so we want that to be the star of the show. But it really does create a story and a bit of interest.
That's right.
Annie's saying this is so helpful. I can't wait to try all of this in my
Beautiful.
next furniture staging. That's so
Yes.
good, Annie. Glad you're loving it. Yeah. So what else
And
can you teach them?
It also makes it, I guess, not as predictable. So sometimes throwing a spanner in the works
Mhm.
can jar things and make it a little bit more look at me, attention grabbing,
Right.
which is sometimes good
Yeah.
to do.
That's good.
So I've done that with my design, like playing with scale, playing
Yeah.
with proportion, playing with colour, even jarring colours sometimes, but you sort of get to that level once you've once you've got the basics. So this is what I call the basics. You can add more to it. You can add like a cute little an even more sculptural piece of, say, a cute bird or something here as well.
Yep.
Again, it's working with the proportions, so you don't want to use this as your vertical piece, for instance, because it doesn't have enough impact and enough height. So see how immediately that's sort of lacking?
Yeah.
So having that piece that's got some height really works.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That's
you
good.
can even use the leaves as sculptural.
Yeah.
Too, so you may even play with, say, usually if you're using a vase that's quite decorative, I tend to put foliage in it.
Yeah.
Whereas, for instance, a vase like this with a big bunch of roses, like I've got some roses here.
Let's show us that look and see how we can see that difference.
That just,
if you're liking this, please go ahead and share it in your group or in your
it's just too
on your page.
It's just too pretty.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So if you're adding flowers
like
there, you're kind of taking a bit more attention away from the piece that you're trying to sell, and the flowers.
It's not right.
Yeah.
So you want to sort of, for instance, they would work a lot better in a plainer vase.
I see, because the vase is not really matching with the flowers.
Yeah. So you're letting here both are clashing. So you've got a fight between the stunning vase and then the actual prettiness of the flowers.
That's right. We don't want no fights, people.
No fights, thank you very much. So we want to just...
Okay, watch Prue how she styles the foliage here. So we've just got them. We've just thrown them in, but
I spend so much time.
Do you ever do things, little tips like put a bit of sticky tape or blue tack here on the leaves just for a photograph
you can get
or for something? Actually, for
florist
real life.
Blue tack.
Oh, really? Is there florist blue tack?
A tip I picked up. It's a real thing. So you can put this knob of blue tack at the bottom of your vase. That's florist blue tack. It's green, and then you can just really push the arrangement that you can prepare beforehand and tape it up with that green florist tape. And then push it down into that big wad of kind of florist blue tack, and it'll hold it.
Perfect. So that's great. So what about? So we've been talking about staging for selling furniture. Is there a difference really if we're trying to stage something for selling it rather than versus staging it or styling it is the word we're trying to use, styling it for our homes? Is there really a difference? We can still do this same look. I mean, I'd be happy with that in my home.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can do that. You can also probably hang the artwork.
Yeah, true. And
I would hang it now at eye level, which for an interior designer is here. So a lot of people hang the art quite high.
Well, this is a good tip. Are you listening, guys?
So usually 1450 from the floor up and then centre to the artwork is what
she said.
The industry uses.
She said 1450. What does that even mean, Prue?
Millimetres.
Millimetres.
1450 millimetres from the floor.
Oh, so 1450. As in 1,450 millimetres.
So 1.45 metres
from the floor
up to the centre of the artwork.
The centre of the artwork.
And the first time you do it, you may sort of think, "Oh my goodness, that is too low."
Really?
But
I bet you
the reason we're
trained yourself to know that's probably exactly
that's
right.
Probably right. Yeah.
The reason
that it's actually eye level when you're sitting down and when you're standing up. And remembering I'm quite tall, so well not quite tall, but she is tall enough, 5'8". So basically having it at about that height. As I'm standing, sure, I'm looking down, but when I'm sitting, I don't want to be looking like this up at artwork. So having it...
That's right.
And
I'm just going to sit on the bed so you can see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What she's doing. Yes, it's eye level.
Means
see, look at that.
That the artwork relates really well to the furniture and to the other pieces. See how it's sort of all talking together as a beautiful family rather than...
Yeah, that's so true. Look at the difference. I hope you're catching this, guys. This is really great info. If you've just joined us, I'm with Prue from My Decorator, and I'm going to be tagging her page in the comments when I am off here because I don't know how to do that while I'm on my phone. She's giving us some really handy tips. We'll just go over those 3 stages that Prue uses for starting to style a piece of furniture, and we've been talking about styling furniture for selling it on your Facebook pages or even on your website, and you're taking nice photographs of it, how to style it. So the number one was have a piece that's vertical. So she's used the vase here.
Yep.
Have a piece that's horizontal, like the books. And we talked about other vertical pieces. Could be a platter or a plate or something else. A tray. And then a sculpted type of piece. So something that's got a bit more visual interest. So the handle, that kind of thing. So
it could be a star, like a 3D star.
Oh yeah.
It could be you could even go outside and grab a pine cone.
Yep.
Again, that's sculptural.
Yeah.
So, and just keeping in mind the story of what you're telling. So here it's quite earthen and earthy looking. So, just following that through as well.
Excellent. Well, I hope you've all learnt something great from those tips today. Let me just flip us around. Thank you so much, Prue, for being here.
No worries.
And please go ahead and share this with your friends if you think they need some help, or just take down those notes, for styling your furniture pieces, ready to sell. Make them stand out in people's news feeds with those tips, plus great photography and great lighting, and you'll be right. Yeah.
And I will put together a PDF with those notes,
Excellent.
so then you can
That's
just attach
perfect.
it.
And we will
put
that in the comments, and a link to Prue's website.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so
Lovely.
much. See ya. Bye.
See you later.